Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. I just been living online, my city don't show me no loving, that's fine. Fuck local radio stations, I got more plays than all of these rappers combined. I'm going again, I've been going in, I'm fed up with so many things. I gotta just let it all out, I'm talking about the shit they've been talking about. Telling me I should do this, telling me I should do that. Telling me things about rap. Talking the truth and that stab in my back, they will knock me off track, people below.
I've been keeping real, I've been doing what I feel. I've been out here trying to kill every beat, I know I will. Everything I'm working on, every night another song. They've been quiet all along, they gon' notice when I'm gone.
Welcome to episode 3 of No False Finish with the franchise player Chris Jones as the host, and we're bringing my special guest Fletch back on the show to do part 2 kind of what No False Finish is about. It's about different kinds of topics. We're going to get the scoop from behind the scenes on certain things, and like I said last show, this is one of Fletch's favorite storylines, I'd say his second favorite storyline. This is XCW versus EBW. We want to get the behind the scenes scoop on how this stuff went down. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Alright. How did the brainchild of XCW versus EBW come about? How was the storyline brought up? And what did you think, like, Hazard's Mind, Genocide's reaction would be, being that we're usually the core group for ideas like this?
Well, it kind of started a couple of years before. It was kind of a catalyst of how everything happened. First, it started off with you went away, you came back.
Yeah.
Once you came back, you took on this co-GM role with Emily Moore. You're still dealing with your legal troubles. You couldn't really be at all the shows.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, what can best fit the situation of having Chris Jones a part of XCW and not having him wrestle and be a part of every single show? The best thing that we could come up with at the time was you be a co-general manager with Emily Moore to keep you relevant, keep you in the show, keep you doing something.
Yeah.
And then you even, at that point, created a separate XCW title where you never formally lost the XCW title after you defeated me for it. And then you were the co-GM, which eventually led to me versus you at SummerMania, SummerMania 9. And it was for total control of XCW. If you won, you took over XCW. And you, at that point, even threatened to change XCW to EBW. The following show. He talks about how you're the world champion to carry around old Smoking Skull title versus the big gold title that we had at the time. Yeah. So, eventually Corey Lee won both championships and unified them, which gave us our brand new championship that we had.
Yeah. And I would like to clarify, the TLC match that Corey Lee won was won because of this man right here. Interference. Still undefeated barring outside interference continued.
But it eventually led to, we're like, hey, 2012, 2013, with all of those things playing in the factor, in my opinion, even to this day, 2012 and 13 were probably the biggest storyline years ever.
Yeah.
So, come to me and you, Summer 89, the next show was Collision Course Goes Retro. And we're like, what are we going to do to shock the people? We came off of you coming back and all of the things that we did with you. We're like, what's next? What do we do to top the Hazard and Karen and Corey? And then following with you and the co-GM with Emily. And what do we do now? So we came up with a plan. Collision Course Goes Retro. For one night only, Emily not be the general manager. Gabe takes control of the company, as he was a former general manager in 2010, which then eventually led to, in 2010, he bought stock. He got to dig in. He got to go behind the scenes as general manager, bought stock in XCW and took that stock, split it in half, and created EBW from there. And that's how it all began.
Seems like James Cerebral follows me everywhere. The Untouchables, EBW. What was the reason behind James Cerebral being the first person to join allegiances with me and Gabe?
Up until, I'd say, the past year or so. And I think part of it still holds true. James Cerebral is one of those people that, in real life, is very loyal to what he says. Like, what he says, he stands by. And he was always very loyal to XCW.
Yeah.
And I knew that we needed somebody in EBW that was just as loyal and proud of EBW as you and Gabe would be. And so, in my opinion, he was always 2 or 3. Although on screen it was always seemed like it was genocide.
Yeah.
But genocide, as you know later in the story, the end of 2014, he was the Benedict Arnold of EBW.
He was the mole.
But yeah, I always considered James Cerebral as number 3. I thought that he fit the mold of what we were looking for EBW. EBW had more like a hip-hop, brash, completely different feel than XCW, and I think James Cerebral had that.
I totally agree. Was there ever a thought, like, in the back of your mind that this storyline could possibly flop? Because, I mean, we had to put money into shirts, you had EBW curtains made, like, to even get this started, we had to do all that. Was there a backup plan?
I don't think there ever was a backup plan. I think that the fact that it was kind of interchangeable, that we could move people around in and out of the group like we did with Brandon Hobbs, that regardless we could always move people around. I don't think there was ever a backup plan.
All right. How do you think that the XCW superstars felt about, in the stories, EBW superstars beating them up, like show after show? Because you and I discussed quite a bit of stuff that was going to happen. I mean, you gave me kind of a lot of free reign to help you mold the EBW storyline. We beat the fuck out of the super, especially Brandon Hobbs. Like, you look at the beatdown of Brandon Hobbs, like,
and Matt,
and like they both got fucked up. So how do you think the XCW superstars felt about that?
I think the XCW guys were just happy to have such a prominent storyline that included so many different guys. I mean, the previous years, a lot of the storylines, people were focused on one main storyline, then everybody kind of had their own little things.
Yeah.
And during EBW, it felt like it included, 5 to 10 to 12 guys at all times. I mean, you had a long list of EBW names and a long list of XCW names. Yeah. And then creating the 2 different sides, it gave a new life to even those guys who are on the bottom of the card, like
Mitchell Maverick.
Yeah, the opportunity to be a part of something bigger and put them in a situation where there was more for them to do. So I overall, everything I've ever heard, everybody was just on the up and up about the whole storyline, because it went so well.
2 more questions, and we're going to take one of those short commercial breaks. Question 1. How did the idea to do the 2 EBW shows come about? We did Outrage, we did Backyard Bash being EBW's big show like SummerMania. A couple people thought that those 2 shows did better than some of the XCW shows did that year. What's your opinion?
Well, obviously SummerMania was the big payoff, so
yes.
I think the focus was to get it to SummerMania. I don't really think that even if the shows were better than some of the XCW shows that year, that's fine, because the payoff was SummerMania, and that's XCW branded to death. The catalyst of the 2 shows is we wanted EBW to feel like a separate entity. We didn't want the EBW guys to just come into XCW and take over. EBW was its own thing before it was a part of this invasion angle, and I feel like this gave, if we did some shows and we brought back some old EBW show names, that, hey, there's a true possibility to, EBW either starting back and doing their own thing, or even, just it felt different.
Yeah.
We even took it to a different location. I mean, we did everything to make the EBW show stand out from the XCW show.
And you and I both co-wrote those shows as well. All right, last question for the commercial break. There were 2 big hype-up promos, I think. These were probably the 2 biggest promos for, in my opinion, for the feud. You had the XCW roster, that was Team XCW, you had the EBW one. How do you think these hype-up promos turned out? And which hype-up promo do you think took the cake? XCW's hype-up promo or EBW's hype-up promo?
Referring to the Gridiron Gang, right?
Yes.
Okay. Not to knock XCW in our own product, but EBW is obviously the standout for numerous reasons. The fact that it was guys like you and Gabe and Genocide that has a way with words, can really get the point across. It definitely stood the test of time, in my opinion, over the XCW, who, of course, had some great guys in it as well, Hazard and Corey Lee and Tommy Merriman. But, EBW took the cake, and that was kind of the plan. We kind of wanted EBW to always be a step above XCW because we knew what the end outcome was going to be.
All right. And with that, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be back.
When the smoke clears and the flashing lights and neon signs all disappear, it's like closing time and the sound of silence is all you hear. Oh, 'cause everyone's gone, trying to make sense. Maybe I got a little lost and got a little reckless, trying to piece it all together while I'm standing in the middle of the wreckage. It's all I'm left with, burning both ends of the night, just trying to find it. Anything I could to get me higher. When that high starts running out, what goes up must come down. Falling feels like flying till you hit the ground. Got a choice to choose. I should learn to win, 'cause I sure as hell know how to lose. I spend most of my life just caught inside a catch-22. Damned if I don't, damned if I do. Burning both ends of the night, just trying to find it. Anything I could to get me higher. When that high starts running out, what goes up must come down. Falling feels like flying till you hit the ground. I said falling feels like flying till you hit the ground. Yeah, falling feels like flying till you hit the ground. Tonight is the night.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Tonight, EBW makes a stand.
Yeah.
I know I'm not Brother Jones anymore, but let me give you a little history lesson.
Yeah.
Isaiah 28:11 says the scourge will show itself, and all who shall oppose will be beaten by it. We are that scourge.
Yeah.
XCW doesn't know what we are capable of. Brandon Hardcore Hobbs. What is your middle name again?
Hardcore.
What's that?
Hard.
I can't hear you.
Hardcore.
James Cerebral. You say what?
I stay G'd up.
What's that?
I stay G'd up.
I can't hear you.
I stay G'd up.
Mitchell Maverick. All the injury you have suffered, you're still here tonight.
He is. He's a great inspiration for us.
If Hazard or Corey Lee or any of them would have been injured, they'd have been at home sitting on the couch eating cheeseburgers.
drinking, except Corey Lee, he won't be. Genocide. Mr. What?
187.
Former world champion.
Yeah.
You are a Grand Slam champion. Held everything. It's the sexcellence of sexecution. The king of submission. One half of the XCW tag. Oh, my bad. I said it wrong. EBW tag team champions. Who are you? Oh, wait. You're Austin Chaos. I know who you are. Austin Chaos. The better Chaos. Former world champion. Tommy Lee? Tommy Lee. Tommy Merriman wants to challenge you? Wants to think he's better than you? He's never held the world title.
Never.
All of us wrestlers here have held a world title. You're not even a wrestler.
Nope.
And you've held
I've
a
held a title. The Gabe has held a title.
The Gabe. First ever general manager to be New Age champion.
All because of EBW, baby.
We've beat everybody in the match. And the Matt Chinchell wants to say he's a world champion? Anybody can cash in a
We
fucking
have one
briefcase.
common goal here.
Our common goal is to take over XCW. We're going to turn it into EBW, Extreme Backyard Wrestling. Now, everybody, put your hands in, and on the count of 3, EB-Dub. 1, 2, 3. EB-Dub! 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 That's right.
Remember these callers. They don't run. You're an inspiration, brother. I appreciate you being
We
here.
stand and we fight.
Great video package there. First question back. Why was Corey Lee the chosen one? I mean, you could have had a multitude of superstars. I mean, you could have Tommy Merriman, you could have Matt Chinchell. You could have Brandon Hobbs get his revenge. Brandon Hobbs could have been that top superstar. Why was Corey Lee chosen to be the chosen face against EBW?
I think coming off the year that Corey had in 2012 with Hazard, he took, I wouldn't say he took your place, but he stepped up in place of your absence.
Filled the spot, yeah.
And that made a world of difference in 2012 because going into 2012, the end of Viewer's Choice 2011, we're like, whoa, like a year without Chris Jones, like we have never done that. Like, so we just always, went to, we're going to fall back on Chris when things get tough. We're going to put him in the title spot, and he's going to take over, and so we're like, the top guy's gone, who steps up? The first person to step up and really shine was Corey. And we built him up as this gigantic, like, over-the-top heel while you were gone, and, kind of replaced your absence. Yeah. And we're like, okay, well, if Corey can do what he's done in this bad guy role, what can Corey Lee do as the face of the company?
Yeah.
But, we even questioned, okay, well, Corey Lee, he FML'd his own pregnant girlfriend, pretty much hoard her out to Hazard to get where he wanted, with the death match and so on and so forth. He even attacked General Manager Emily Moore at one point. So we're like, how do you turn Corey Lee into this gigantic baby face? Well, we knew that Cold Day in Hell, you were coming back.
Yeah.
Corey was hot still, and that's kind of how it went. We knew that if Corey was still hot by the time you came back, that was the obvious choice. And you came right after myself and Corey right off the bat.
Yeah.
And it almost just put Corey into that position where, okay, well, Corey's going to have to put some focus on Chris. Plus, Chris is going to feel like Corey's trying to replace him. He even, at one point, took your position as the leader of the Untouchables earlier that year. So, with all things considered, it was almost like, in your absence, Corey tried to take over, and now this was your way of coming back and saying, all right, Corey, this isn't your show, this is my show. And the EBW did the beatdown on Corey Lee. We gained some sympathy from the crowd for Corey Lee, and a star was born.
No! No, punt! Damn! This is going too damn far!
How's he gonna make it out of this? Are you serious? Blood everywhere.
Give him a TKO.
So, Not many people know about this. A few of us know about this. Going to the Backyard Bash main event, which was the street fight for me and Austin for the EBW World Title. There ended up being a lot of confusion. It was written originally for Austin to win, and backstage, me and Austin didn't know who was going to win. We weren't told. We sent Corey Lee out to get who was supposed to win, and Corey Lee came back and told me and Austin that I was to go over. And where'd all this confusion come from? And if you watch the videotape, like, I thought Austin was even going to kick out of, like, I beat him with the Chaos Crush, and I expected him to kick out. Like, you could see my surprise in the video. So what happened with all this confusion?
I think it was just a miscommunication between the fact that there were a lot of guys doing a lot of different things writing-wise at the time. Whereas in previous years, it was just me.
Yeah.
And then it kind of became where you and Gabe kind of had a say in what happened EBW-wise, and then myself and Hazard had words of what happened XCW. And with the four, generally the four of us would be like, hey, this is the direction.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, EBW, I was a little more lenient on the EBW shows, because I'm like, hey, this needs to be an EBW dominating product,
yeah,
because we're coming to invade your house.
Yeah.
Not as much, I think, in Backyard Bash, because XCW did the Crusaders.
Yeah.
But I think there was too many Chiefs, not enough Indians in this situation.
Which always can lead to confusion. So going into SummerMania 10, it was kept tight-lipped, almost as much tight-lipped as about the return that they will see of Extreme King, our big special guest. It was kept tight-lipped. I believe maybe 4 people knew the finish for the ending for me and Corey Lee. Like me, you, Corey Lee, and Emily. Like maybe Hazard. Like the refs didn't know until the match. What
was Brendan and Gabe?
Yeah, what was the feeling about this match and possible finishes in your mind?
Well, I felt like it's a slap in our own face if we don't give the opportunity for EBW to... I didn't want XCW to... obviously, XCW had to go over in the end. I mean, that was the brand.
Point, yeah.
That was the brand. It is to this day. It's XCW. This is our brand. So it was obvious that XCW was going to go over, but I wanted people to not feel like it was so obvious.
Yeah.
And there was not very many good ways around it. You can't exactly just be like, if we just would have went out there and you guys had a match and Corey beat you straight up, people are going to be like, okay, well, we kind of knew that was going to happen from the start. People expected XCW to come out on top, which, who wouldn't? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
When you watched the old WWF versus Alliance, you knew the WWF was going to come out on top. It was obvious.
Yeah.
It was fun getting there, but you knew what the payoff was. And I didn't want that same feeling of the payoff.
Yeah.
The only way that I knew to do it was to include our commentators at the time, who were both very brand-oriented.
Yeah.
Gabe being the owner of EBW, and Brendan, who has been an XCW upstart since the start. You know, he 2003, he was XCW through and through.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of add them to the mix, and it was also kind of the coming out of myself, who that was how we covered commentary.
Yeah.
Was, I had been quiet through the entire feud,
Neutral party.
as being neutral, and at one point, it was Cold Day or X-Rated of 2014. I was even given the New Age title by Gabe to join EBW.
Yeah.
Which ultimately never happened. Mitchell Maverick is the one that set me off to not care about either brand. But going back to what the only way that I knew that we could do it is to do, it was kind of ripping off WrestleMania 15, where they had Rock and Austin,
Yeah.
And then they have Big Show and Mankind. The winner of the match went to referee the main event.
Yeah.
Which, Big Show's working for the corporation. Mankind was the baby face that everybody wanted to see Stone Cold get a fair fight.
Yeah.
We had to do the same kind of thing. Obviously, everybody wanted Brendan to win because they want XCW
Yeah,
to.
obviously.
But we knew what the payoff was going to be, so we were like, okay, obviously it's going to be Gabe. Well, it didn't. It ended up, being both.
Yeah.
As soon as Brendan took the fall in the match, then all of a sudden here runs Gabe to make the pinfall.
Yeah.
And I wanted the shock value of people thinking the EBW won. And we even discussed the possibility of leaving the show in SummerMania with EBW standing tall and end it there. Or the next week, the show starts off, welcome to EBW,
Yeah.
and there is no XCW, but we're like, what do we do? Do we let people believe that there's no more XCW and take the chance that people are not going to be as invested? Or do we take the chance of having Emily come out, saying that Brendan officially won the match in the pre-show? Brendan is the actual official of the match, not Gabe. Gabe can't make that decision, and then move on. Ultimately, it led to that because we knew that in 2 weeks was the beginning of our next adventure.
It could be the darkest day in XCW history. Oh no! No, no, no. No, no! An FML from Christian. No, wait! No, no, no! What the fuck? No! No! Ladies and gentlemen, XCW is over. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you here at SummerMania 10. We'll see you in 2 weeks, I guess. And wait. What the hell? Wait a second.
The winner of Gabe and Brendan's match would be the special guest referee. Brendan was the winner, therefore Brendan is the only one that can do the 3 count.
Wait a second.
So since Brendan was out, this match is restarted now.
Fucking kidding?
What?
So, we got a few more left here. So, obviously, the big thing, the surprise, probably James Cerebral the most, is, you mentioned previously, we kind of had to swerve. Brendan went down, Gabe came out, distracted Corey Lee. I hit Corey Lee with his own FML. And pinned Corey Lee 1, 2, 3. Me and Gabe celebrated. We had the long pause. Then Emily came out. Who made the final decision to, was it a collaborative effort that came up with the idea for that swerve?
If I remember right, one of the deciding factors was the fact that Gabe was going through his own legal troubles at the time. And we're like, hey, if we do the EBW winning and we continue the EBW in 2 weeks, we need Gabe to be a part of that episode. We need Gabe. EBW's taking over. EBW is going to be running the shots in 2 weeks. How are you going to do that with no Gabe? And when Gabe was like, listen, I'm going through this, SummerMania is it. That was the deciding factor. I think even as early as, high stakes and Backyard Bash, the plan was EBW goes over. And then once the time came and Gabe made the decision that he was going to have to leave, and of course all the EBWs would be fired, it made the most sense that it just ended SummerMania.
Right. So humor me on this next one. Obviously, you mentioned Gabe's troubles. Gabe's gone. EBW wins SummerMania. 1, 2, 3. Chris Jones, Gabe celebrates, but Gabe's gone. Legal issues. The show comes back 2 weeks later. Music hits. EBW. And out comes Fletch. Why not have Fletch come out and be like, you know what? Enough is enough. I've chosen. It's EBW for me. Why not have Fletch take over for Gabe? Because obviously we're doing the thing recently with you and it versus Emily Moore and all that stuff. I mean, in my opinion, I think that might have been better than Gabe, to be honest. Just because, obviously, no offense to Gabe, but I think you're better on the mic. And obviously you can wrestle. So, I mean, you killed two birds with one stone. Why not have Fletch own EBW?
You know, that never crossed my mind, especially at the time. But, I mean, it led us to the royalty, which ended up being, in the end, a power struggle between me and Emily. So we kind of got to the same point of that, without having the confusion of what brand is what. I think ending it when we did was probably the best decision when it comes from a fan standpoint, where I was like, well, what company am I watching?
Yeah.
It was already very confusing that there's 2 EBW episodes that were XCW affiliated, and it had the same guys, but it had a different feel and a different name, and so in the end, I feel like we might have made the right decision, although that idea is killer.
I mean, that would be almost as big as when you turned heel in 04.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that at all. Yeah, wow. Why didn't we think of stuff like that?
Last question. Why was this such a successful storyline?
Though it wasn't a first of its kind in wrestling,
yeah, obviously.
it was definitely a first of its kind in XCW, and the fact that the core people of you and Genocide and Gabe on the EBW side, and then Tommy and Corey and Hazard on the XCW side, the fact that those core guys, even all the way down the list to Mitchell Maverick, the fact that all the core guys stuck together was what made it a success. If there would have been a lot of bouncing in and out, then I don't think it would have been as successful. But even Brandon, the storyline of him winning the XCW title and James Rubel being jealous of the fact and that you guys turning on him, Brandon just then jumped ship to XCW. He didn't disappear in a time where, and it even happens to this day, where a storyline is made, people are put into a position, and then the other half of that story is no longer a part of XCW. And then it just, you either have to make up a bullshit excuse as to why they're not there, or you move on and never mention it again. It just clicked. Everybody had a blast. Everybody came together. The core guys stuck together. We made brand new stars out of it. Austin Chaos really cut his teeth in EBW. He really became a star coming out of EBW. Whereas, like, Untouchables made James Rubel a star. You were already very established. You know, Mitchell Maverick, though he was never really a success story, and he's not around to this day, he's a name that is going to live with XCW forever simply because of the EBW storyline. The only thing, in my opinion, that did not work in the whole XCW EBW feud was Matt Chinchill's title run.
Because of the injury. Alright, well, we're going to end it there, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from the man. All about XCW and EBW. Join us next time where it's going to get a little chilly up in here. Thank you for joining us for No False Finish.
Keep it real, I've been doing what I feel. I've been out here trying to kill every beat. I know I will. Everything I'm working on, every night another song. They've been quiet all along. They gon' notice when I'm gone.
Everybody wanna copy you, but they're not you. Everybody wanna be cool, but they're not new. Whoa, look how I go. Gonna be a dentist, I still got the flow. Never gonna lose, cause I'm still doing both. Never gonna lose, cause I've been on the road. Come to your state and I'm killing the show. Know that I'm young and I still gotta grow. Know that I'm working the most, know I'm never gonna choke. And I'm looking back down on the people below.
I've been keeping real, I've been doing